everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Bree.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Thrive, the fitness podcast.
I think we
Welcome
nailed
back.
it there. We nailed
Thank
it.
you.
I mean, it just feels so natural now.
Yeah, it does. It does. It feels great. What's up? What have you been doing this past week/weekend? What's new? Let's catch up the fam, the pod fam on everything.
Yeah, Maddie went out of town. I got sick. Oh, that's what I did this weekend. That is what I was thinking. Like, what did I do this weekend? I was sick. I was like crazy sick. I mean, not like, not
you
like
were crazy
horrible.
sick.
It was pretty sick. I was pretty sick.
Yeah,
it was pretty bad.
Pretty sick.
And so I just like tried to sleep as much as possible. I tried to get, but the problem is my group training had a new cycle coming up. And so I've had to do this twice now, that I've had to set up a new group training cycle while I've been really sick. Luckily, this one wasn't as bad as the first one. The first one, it was like the launch of my group training program, first cycle. I needed to take all new form videos, just kind of like set a precedent, increase the quality of them. And I was so sick. I mean, feverish, like aches. And I was out there in the gym, like recording the form videos. It was in January, so it was like 50 degrees in the gym. And I was wearing like two hoodies. And those form videos are still some of the same ones that I use today.
Oh my
gosh. I consider that my Michael Jordan Game 6 flu game. Like, if you're familiar with that, when he had the flu, but he played anyway.
Oh man.
And he just dominated, but he was like, when you went over to the bench, he was just like sweating and like dying. But he gave it his all no matter what. That is what I consider my Game 6.
Well, and the fact that it's documented too. Like for Michael Jordan's documented and you have yours documented too.
In a way. So, in a way. Every time I see that hoodie and sweatpants combo in one of my form videos, I'm like, that one's staying for a long time. For people that are in there, it's goblet squats. That's one of them that I remember that is... That's the flu. Yeah, I was dying.
Yeah.
But anyways, this weekend I'm feeling a little bit better now. I'm a little bit congested still. I'm a little like nasally. So for the listeners, I'm sorry if you hear me sniffle. I'm going to try to mute myself if I need to blow my nose or anything like that. But this weekend was, outside of that, I feel like I was able to get ahead of my work, and everybody is just so kind to me, like both clients and my Instagram followers. Like, they're just like, please rest, please. I have a pharmacist who follows me, who twice now when I've gotten sick, she's like, this, like giving me a grocery list. Oh my God, it was so helpful. I wouldn't have thought to take emergency, but she was like, I swear by emergency. So I grabbed that. Well, I didn't grab that. Maddie grabbed that. But anyway, that was good. And then Maddie was out of town Monday through Wednesday for work. And so it was just me and Leo, and I don't like being alone that much. But, we made the most of it. I made myself 2 home-cooked meals with protein and a veggie. So I was very proud of myself, very adult-like. But last night at like 9 p.m., I hadn't eaten dinner. And so I had half of a steak and a big bowl of cereal, which is not
elite combo.
Maybe not the most well-rounded. Yeah. Count Chocula specifically.
I love it.
I love Count Chocula. So yeah, no, my weekend was pretty good. I haven't been able to lift in about a week. Finally got the energy to go for a walk on Wednesday. But yeah, that's been where I'm at. I'll probably lift maybe today or tomorrow. But
I feel like something's going around. I feel like half of my clients are sick right now too. And I've actually had a lot of clients getting COVID. So I don't know if there's just like a second wave and also
I think there is like a
I think there's just a second wave
kind of season though.
That's a really good point. The back to school season.
I think when everybody goes back to school, it's like every family is that has kids is like commingling, and
and if you don't have kids, someone that does, that you've been around, and then you're getting sick from them. It's just like, that's actually a good point. I think I won't say second wave, it's like the 59th wave, but
a million.
I think you have the school season starting, and then you have when the holiday seasons come around, that will start up another thing. And so it's just always those 2 times that are really, but
I wonder if we'll ever like get past this. I'm not a virologist or anything like that, or immunologist or whatever they would.
Past COVID or past what?
Just past COVID, yeah. Like,
I think COVID's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
So just like the common cold or the flu, kind of.
Yeah, it'll just over time. Technically, viruses get less and less and less deadly, and so it'll just become more and more. Just get your yearly flu vaccination and COVID vaccination. And, they'll have to guess the strain just like they do with the flu. And you just get it's just here to stay, Yeah. So
it's a fair take.
Yeah. But the nice thing is like, again, viruses get less and less deadly over time. And so it'll just become less and less severe and kill less and less people. And, the flu already kills, I think average is like 60,000 people a year. So it's not like the flu doesn't kill anyone, but the usual trajectory of a virus is to get less and less lethal because that's how it survives. The less people it kills, the more it can live,
Do you know what's an interesting fact? How many people vending machines kill per year?
I've read that statistic before or something. I can't remember what it was. What was it?
I am pretty sure. Don't quote. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up in a second. But well, here it is. Since 1978, the CPSC, which is the Consumer Product Safety Commission, government organization, is aware, again, since 1978, they are aware of at least 37 deaths from vending machines.
How? Did it fall on them or like what? How did it say?
Yes. Consumers rocking or tilting the machines in an attempt to obtain free soda or money. That is from a government source.
Okay, this is really bad for me to say, but it's kind of karma. You know what I mean? Like you said, trying to get something free from.
Oh, no. Okay, we don't know if they were trying to get free money or if they deposited.
I know we don't. I know.
$3 in there. Soda drops down. It gets stuck. This person's like on their last $2. That was the one soda they needed to support their family. And here you are, Satan, telling them.
Stop. I said it was terrible for me to say, but you just said like they're trying to get like a free soda, and so they're reaching in to grab something free, and then it falls. It's like karma got you there. Do you deserve her to die from trying to get a free soda? No one deserves like that kind of thing. But it came to my mind. I thought I'd say it, and then I regretted it. So
that is more, believe it or not, for humans, vending machines are more deadly than sharks.
Since 19 whatever?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So the next time I see a vending machine, you just kind of jump
you're gonna be like, sheesh, oh.
Don't hurt me.
Swim. I'm gonna go swim in the ocean with some sharks and be like, at least there's no vending machines around.
You're sure since like what was the vending machine? 1970?
It said 1978 was like the cutoff point.
There's no way that like less than 37 people have died of shark attacks since 1973. But I mean, it's possible.
Let me look this up.
While you do that, I will insert another important fact because it relates to me. They say that 2,500 left-handed people die every year from using right-handed appliances. And I'm left-handed.
How?
I don't know, but like, things are made for right-handed people, but you have to use it with your left hand.
But like what?
I don't know.
Like scissors. But how could you mess up a scissor, like a scissor situation that bad where you're like,
I don't know. I was just literally told that one time or read it somewhere, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? National Left-Handers Day is August 13th. So on August 13th, I expect a flowers delivered or a gift because my presence is risked every day of my life being here from the right-handed creation of the world. So I don't know. I don't know if that's really true, but that's what I heard.
I'm trying to find like legitimate statistics that are not blog articles on the shark attacks versus vending machine situation. Now, the vending machine situation is from a government that is a source, you know what I'm saying? So that has data to back it, but I'm trying to find this, the shark situation, and I'm finding The Guardian article, and that's not good enough. That's not.
What does The Guardian? I'm just curious. What does The Guardian article say?
All right, so The Guardian. According to the University of Florida's International Shark Attack File, just 5 people globally died from unprovoked shark attacks in 2009. You are more likely to be killed by lightning, which has about 1,000 deaths per year, drowning in the bath. There are 22 accidental bathtub drownings in the UK in 2008. Wow. Being left-handed. Nearly 2,500 left-handers a year die from using products made for right-handed people.
But that's
You're in danger. You're in danger.
I'm more likely to die from using something left-handed than than a shark attack.
Sharks. Yeah. Oh, and then here, a vending machine. 2 people are crushed to death every year in the United States alone by trying to tilt faulty vending machines. So I don't know. I guess they said some, Florida, but like they don't have a link to that article. They don't.
Okay, well, I pulled up the Florida Museum.
Uh-huh.
And there it says .ufl, so University of Florida.edu. So
Sure.
I'm assuming this is the Florida Museum with
be
the university.
A little more credible. Yep.
There's different classifications. Unprovoked bites, 57. This is 2022. Sure. So unprovoked bites, 57. Provoked bites, 32. Let's see. I don't see any like death. It's just like bites.
I mean, a bite. Like, it could be like
I know, but I'm trying to find if there's like, I need to know if people like die.
Yeah.
Oh, this one doesn't tell me death. Dead. Anyways, we're really going off a topic here.
This is the most morbid intro to one of our podcast episodes of all time. We're going to either get great feedback from this or horrible feedback from this.
Okay. Wikipedia is not a great source, but it says around 4 people die every year of shark attacks. So that does put it a little bit over vending machines. That's an average.
Well, but no, but that's in the world.
Yeah, every year.
Okay, see, this is vending machines only in America.
Oh,
I mean,
I honestly,
Japan
I don't expect it to be
a ton of vending machines.
Yeah, they do actually. Yeah,
they do.
They do.
They vending machine everything.
It's true. Man, I gotta be careful when I go to Japan.
You just gotta be careful. You just never know.
Careful. You never know.
Yeah, with your left-handedness, with the vending machines that you could come around in Texas, you just don't
really
know.
Racking it up. I risk of dying every day so much. Okay. Anyways, let's move on from this topic.
Let's get into it. Oh no! Wait, tell me how your weekend was.
Oh, mine was actually really great. I did nothing. Well, kind of did nothing. I finished up dog sitting over the weekend. The couple actually showed up home early. They told me they needed me through till Monday. I'm just sitting
maybe they felt bad because you showed up early.
No, they told me the wrong dates because I went back and checked my phone. Told me the wrong dates. They just showed up on a Saturday at like 2 p.m. and I'm like eating lunch and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I quickly gathered all my stuff and like left and everything, but that made me have the whole rest of the weekend at home.
Nice.
It's my first weekend doing nothing in like the last like 4 weeks. And then we got to town for the next 3 weeks. So
straight for one trip, 3 weeks straight?
No, we're out of town every weekend for the next 3 weeks. So we're out of town this weekend, but then it connects to the next weekend because we're going to the beach and then we'll have like a 4 or 5 day break. And then we go to LA for a weekend. So
what are you doing in LA?
A Coldplay concert. Which I'm really excited about.
I didn't know you were super into Coldplay.
Oh, I love Coldplay. Love Coldplay.
I could play Clocks on Coldplay or on piano by Coldplay.
Nice.
That's that was like the first that I could play piano like to a decent. I could play Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles.
Oh, that's great. I just think of White.
That one's actually like tough to do.
Yeah.
But Clocks is actually one that I would recommend for anybody who is getting into piano for the first time. Teaching your left hand to move
up and down the
kind
scale.
of like, yeah, sort of, yeah. Because it kind of has to like mirror your right hand and like pretty much identically.
Sure. But yeah, so I didn't really do much, just kind of hung out and I like just took advantage of like just being home, not having a lot to do. So
nice.
Just, did things that I haven't been able to do since I haven't really been home over the weekend. So, but yeah, it was pretty chill.
I'm glad you got that downtime because I know you've been pretty swamped.
Yeah. And it's just nice, like not having a ton to do. There's some, like I worked on my website, stuff like that. Like just, things I can just
website's looking good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's coming
along. I'm gonna plug it again. Website's looking really good. BriannaRayFitness.com.
Yeah.
So
go check it out. It's not finished.
Comes out, you better have it finished. By the time this
I'm
podcast
gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it. But y'all can go see the homepage. The homepage is at least up, but I'll, make it look better, but it looks so much better than it used to. So
it does. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk about, but it was really just kind of chill. So yeah, we're going out of town next week from Saturday to Saturday. We're going to the beach. We're going to Seaside Beach, Texas, which we haven't been to before. So this week has been busy just trying to get things ahead of things. So I don't have to do as much work while we're there. So other than that, it's been pretty chill. So.
All right. Well, you want to get into the episode now?
Yeah, let's do it. So today we're talking about why exercise is and isn't important for fat loss. So the topic of this for me comes up, or I put this down as a topic that I wanted us to talk about because I feel like so many, and I don't want to say just feel like, but no, so many people think or rely on exercise to be the main source of how they're going to lose weight. And so I really wanted to kind of almost bust that myth, but then kind of reel it back and say, but it is still important. Like if we're busting that myth, well, then why do we give our clients a step goal? Because that is activity or exercise at the end of the day. So there is some importance to it. And I think it's just us dispelling kind of the myth of it, but also just giving the flat out truth of where it really lies in the totem pole of importance when it comes to your fat loss and weight loss.
Yep, perfect.
Cool.
One of the things that we often say is you can't outrun a bad diet or you can't out exercise a bad diet.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that when we say that is it would take a pretty large effort if you have I'm going to say not a great diet in terms of your calorie balance is not there. You are in a probably pretty sizable calorie surplus if you've been gaining weight.
Right.
You're probably in a decent calorie surplus. Maybe you've been in a calorie surplus for years. And if you are just focusing on, if you're not changing your eating habits whatsoever, but you want to lose weight now, the amount of exercise that you need to do, specifically probably cardio that you would need to do in order to increase your energy expenditure enough to offset the calories that you're eating, it is going to be not just an uphill battle, like an up mountain battle. It will be
Yes.
very difficult to do. That said, technically,
You can.
you
Yeah.
could do it. Like
Yeah.
you could. Let's say somebody didn't want to change their diet at all, but they wanted to lose weight. I mean, there is a point where you could maybe you start running like 10 miles a day or something. These are made up numbers. So please
Yeah.
don't start running 10 miles a day and be like,
Yeah.
Alex, I don't have to change my diet. We're good.
Yeah.
You could bike like 20, 30 miles per day, like you could increase your energy expenditure so much that it does put you in a deficit. That is totally feasible. Likewise, maybe not so much of an extreme. Let's say you've been basically maintaining your weight, um, and you want to start losing weight. One of the things that you could do before you even look at your diet is just start going on daily walks.
Yeah.
If you're a sedentary person generally, you're getting maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 steps. If you throw a walking pad under your desk, or if you start going for a daily walk, pump that up 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 plus steps per day, not only is that going to be massively beneficial for your health, but it probably will be the tipping point that puts you into the deficit. And maybe that deficit will be slower than you would hope for, and that could be accelerated with some small changes, small modifications to your diet, but it might be enough to put you in a deficit. So while we always say for weight loss and for fat loss, prioritize your nutrition, and we still firmly agree with that, there is technically an option for you if you don't want to change your diet at all.
Yeah. It's no secret that being in a calorie deficit is just an energy balance. It's just an equation. And so technically, if you, like you said, if you're at maintenance and all you changed was just increasing your activity, you've offset that balance and you therefore will start losing weight. The problem with, let's just say that's your decision to do that. And you can do that. Like you're eating at maintenance calories, you're maintaining your weight pretty well. All you do is decide to increase your activity. And that could absolutely work for you. The problems that could arise is one, because you are being more active, you would then maybe your diet actually does change. You start to be more hungry. You increase your food intake and you still maintain the body weight. And you're like, but Alex told me that if I'm someone who's maintained my weight relatively well and I just start going for daily walks, I should lose weight. It's possible, but it's also possible that you could get more hunger now and you could then
Yep.
eat to offset that. The other issue with this is we don't know, and we'll hop into this a little bit. I'm just going to hop into it now, and we can transition to it if
Hop
we
into
want
it.
to. But
Yep.
we don't know how many calories you're burning exactly when you are exercising. We do know how many calories you're consuming when it comes to food. So it's very, very easy for us to look at your diet and say, hey, this is how many calories you're eating. This is how many calories you need to reduce to put yourself in a deficit. Reduce these calories, done. It's like counting money. Like we can count money really, really easily, just 1, 2, 3, 4. But when it comes to exercise, we don't know if going for a hour walk every single day is going to be enough to offset to put you in a deficit, and most likely will be. And even if it does, you may compensate and eat more food. And so that's the issue that you run into if you just rely on exercise to be the thing that puts you into fat loss. Again, it can work, but those are the main issues. I don't know if you have any other ones you can think would come up. Those are two issues I would say you probably would run into if you aren't focusing on your nutrition being the main driver. Do you have any other ones to
Oh,
add
well,
maybe to that?
no, I love that you added that kind of like addendum to it.
Yeah.
Is that if you do increase your expenditure, yeah, you're probably just going to be hungrier, and
Yeah.
that's just a reality. Anytime
Right.
we're in a deficit, is there will probably be a degree of hunger at some point, even if you are choosing high volume foods. But I also want to touch on exactly what you said of we can know at least our calorie intake because we can track it and we have the energy labels on all of our foods. And
Right.
while these things are estimated, the estimations are minuscule
Right.
versus the estimations that we get from energy expenditure, whether we're on a treadmill or or a wristwatch or things like that. And we'll talk about a study in a minute, but I really like this, and I want to frame it in a way. If you have a child that is in algebra currently, or if you remember lessons from algebra, if we are looking at x plus y equals z, and if we know x and we know z, but we don't know y, how do we solve for this, right?
Mm.
And so x here is your calorie intake,
Yeah.
y would be your calorie expenditure, and z, what is z? Z is our weight. Our weight will always change, always fluctuate, so we have to look at weight on in terms of weekly averages. It's not a finite thing like, oh, I'm 160 today and tomorrow, I'm 160.5. Dang it, I was in a calorie surplus. That's not how this pans out. We need to
Right.
look at, because of fluctuations with our water, our glycogen, our stomach content, sometimes I just got a hold, I'm just full of shit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
with that in mind,
Literally.
it's like we need
Yeah.
to look at, and non-literally.
Yeah. True.
But we have to look at weekly averages and sometimes even like 2-3 weeks of these weekly averages to look at a trend. So we look at X, our calorie intake. We look at maybe a weekly average calorie intake just because some days we're going to eat a little more, a little bit less. And then we look at weekly averages and the change in weekly averages on the Z side. And we figure out we don't really have to worry too much about what our calorie expenditure is every day. We just need to know that if Z is not changing, our weight is not changing in the direction, we need to change X or we need to change Y. And X is probably one we can just be a lot more accurate with. So I thought that
Yes.
was a great point from you, and I wanted to expand upon it a little bit
Well, and
more.
I like that you use that example of we have known variables. So let's capitalize on the known variables as much as possible. And then we, like you said, we don't know why exactly, but, and then we'll hop into like why exercise is still important. Like there still is a factor to this, or not even exercise, just activity in general. And so based off knowing our weight and knowing what we're eating for calories, we can assume where we want to place why. And then once we have all the variables or the variables for our equation, then we can go around being like, okay, we the only way to change z, the what it equals, what x and y equal, is by changing the two variables that we know. And we know calories, or I think you said calories was x. We know x way
Yep.
more better than we know y. And so it's like, let's change x as much as we can. But then there comes a point where you've lowered your calories so much, you're like, okay, I don't want to lower them anymore. I can
Yeah.
increase
Hmm.
y, but you still don't know exactly what y is bringing you, but you're just doing more of y is kind of where you kind of go with that. And so I thought that was
Yeah.
a
And
really, the
actually,
algebra example was really, really great.
thank you. And I also think that why, so one thing that we use for why, because again, I just want to reemphasize, and I will go into this in depth a little bit more with a study, that your wristwatch does not accurately tell you your calorie expenditure. But for now, one way that Bree and I and a lot of other coaches and, a lot of, the Instagram messaging and stuff like that, is that why can be manipulated through our step count. It's why
Yeah.
we value steps so highly, is that
Yeah.
while 2,000 steps, we don't know the exact calorie expenditure of it. We know
Right.
that 6,000 steps or 8,000 steps will have a far greater calorie expenditure. So that is why we often lean on steps as a metric, because we don't have calorie expenditure. We just don't have that technology commercially available. We would need to be hooked up to this mask and these tubes and stuff like that in a lab setting in order to understand our calorie expenditure. But unless you're literally a lab rat that's sitting with that mask on all day, every single day, you just won't accurately know your calorie expenditure.
Yeah.
So
I, well, and to add to
steps
that
are
about,
great. No, go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry. I mean, interrupt you. Well, I just want to add to the exercise thing too, like being hooked up in a lab. Even if you did hook yourself up into a lab to see what you burned, as you lose weight, you will
Yeah, right.
not burn, you will burn less calories when you're exercising because your body's having to move a smaller body over time.
Yeah.
And I was reading through an article yesterday about just like exercise and calorie expenditure and all that. If you're doing an exercise for the first time, you've never done it before, a lot of your calorie burn is coming because your body is having to move X amount of weight, right? Let's just take running. If you start running tomorrow, your body is burning a certain amount of calories running because it's having to move 100 and X amount of pounds through space and time, right? And then it's never done this exercise before. So you're kind of clunky about it. And so it's hard to run because you're not
Mm.
sure about cadence. You don't know how to
Inefficient.
time yourself. It's inefficient. And so the more efficient you get in exercise and then you start to lose body fat, you actually over time burn less and less calories doing a certain exercise. And so it's like you can go
Interesting.
to a lab, measure how many calories you burn when you run 3 miles. But hey, in 6 months, when you've dropped 10 pounds or 20 pounds, whatever, you're actually going to burn less calories. And so it's just like we put so many eggs into this basket of exercise. It's like, look, we don't know exactly what you're burning. We can get an estimate. We can say, hey, you do 2,000 steps. We know if you do more, you will burn more. So let's up that. We know exactly what
Mhm.
your calories going to be. Let's look at the trends in the data. And then based off of that, hey, I don't want to eat any less than 1,800 calories, but I do want some more juice for the squeeze and want to see the scale go down more. Okay, let's just increase steps a little bit more. So I just thought that would be a good point to point out. Like, even if you did go to a lab, it would technically change over time what you actually burn doing that exercise. Same thing with like weightlifting. Like, I mean, I guess you get stronger and you push yourself, but it's like as you get more efficient and knowing how to do certain moves, you're probably going to actually burn less calories as you become more efficient in it.
Mm. Mm. So I guess now is a good time to just talk about that study that,
Yeah, let's do that.
so there was a 2017 study titled Accuracy and Wrist-Worn Sensor-Based Measurements of Heart Rate and Energy Expenditure in a Diverse Cohort. So with this, researchers tested accuracy of energy expenditure or your calorie expenditure from activity trackers like your Fitbit or an Apple Watch, and I think they did 5 total. They found, and I quote, no device achieved an error in energy expenditure below 20%. What that means is that there was not a single device that was within a 20% margin of accurately estimating your calorie expenditure. So if you are, let's say, let's say your wristwatch tells you, you know, you burned 400 calories from a kickboxing class. And sometimes actually a lot of times it is so much higher than that. It'll be like you burned 600 calories, which
Yeah.
would be a
Yeah.
ludicrous amount to
Yeah.
burn in like a 1 hour class. But
Right.
I digress. If that is off by 20%, and let's say 500 calories just for easy math, what is that? 10% of that 50, 100. So it'd be 100 calories above that. So let's say you burn 500, it's actually telling you
And this is at
600,
best.
or
At best, it's
that's
going to be off this. At
at
best, it'll be
best
off by
off.
100 calories. Yeah.
There was one measurement that was off by 100%. So it
Yeah.
was literally doubling the calorie expenditure from. So
Yeah.
anyways, at best, let's say it's like 600, 700 calories and you're like, oh, okay, I get to eat back those calories. First off, don't do that. Slippery slope, horrible
Right.
decision. If your goal is weight loss and you are using any kind of exercise to increase your energy expenditure, and then you're rewarding yourself with food, you need to find a different reward system. You need to find a different way to, you know, treat yourself that does not your goals. I'm sorry, I'm going to back up. Your
No, you're
rewards
fine.
cannot conflict with your goals. That
Yeah.
cannot happen. So if your goal is weight loss, your reward for doing something that helps you get toward that goal cannot be something that interferes with that goal.
Do
It's
you?
like if I'm
Okay.
trying to save $100, per day, and I'm like, I didn't spend
Mm.
$100 today. Good for me. And then it's 9 p.m. I just saved $100, and I'm like, swipe the credit card, $110.
You're
It's
rewarding
like it
yourself
doesn't.
saving money by spending money.
Yes,
Yes.
and that
Yeah, I see what you're
it
saying.
is
Okay.
it is counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And so my urge to you is that if you feel like, oh, I've been a good girl, oh, I've been a good boy, that if your goal is weight loss, you do not reward yourself with food.
Yeah. So I'm glad you included that example of like the money spending. Cause at first I was like, I don't know, like as long as you're in calorie deficit and like you've tracked, like who cares if you go and treat yourself with that?
Agree.
However,
Yeah,
but
sure.
yes, and I think you agree with that. However, your point of explaining like it's like if your reward for saving $100 every single week was then to go buy $80 shoes or whatever. It's like why you shouldn't reward yourself saving money by spending money. That counteracts the goal that you have in mind that you're trying to do. And so I understand more of where you're coming from when you said that. So, and I hear what you're saying. So that was a good example I
And
think you
so,
brought in.
yeah, and I think it's like important to understand that like what you said is so true. Like as long as you're in a calorie deficit, that's totally fine. I just do think that rewarding yourself in a way that counteracts with your overarching goal can be a very slippery slope.
Something I did want to bring up though with that study that they did test it for actually it wasn't in the study. Well, yeah, they did test it for heart rate and actually found that it measures heart rate pretty good.
Pretty
Not that
accurate.
I was very concerned with your heart rate all the time, but
but if you want to get like zone specific benefits, like if you are a high level cardio, if you're just getting into cardio, just do your cardio. Don't worry about the specific zones. But if you're a high level person, one, I would go follow Dockless Fitness because she is like so intelligent with everything cardio.
Yes.
But then two, I wouldn't worry so much about these zones unless you have very specific training,
goals,
necessities or requirements. Yeah, goals.
Okay. Yeah.
But I wouldn't worry. But it can be nice for people who are trying to get those very specific goals to see the heart rate on their,
Yeah. So I found that interesting that it was like, yeah, it sucks at telling your calorie expenditure, but it's actually
relatively accurate for steps too.
Yes. And that's probably another thing to go into. And it's at the end of the day as well, it's not necessarily that we need it to be super accurate steps. Like this is maybe something else to go in here too, is it's not the step thing that makes it magical and that works. It's just a way for us to measure your increased activity. Like I have some clients who don't have a watch. And so instead of doing a step goal, we do a time on the Peloton. Like they have a Peloton. I'm like, look, set it at a 5 resistance you don't need to be sweating. You don't have to do a class, but set at the same resistance. And I don't have a Peloton, so I don't know what the resistance levels are. So if 5's really hard, just, I don't know.
Sorry.
Set it at a resistance that, has like walking, like I don't want your legs just like flying off of the machine, but like if you're walking, there's some resistance to the ground when you're walking, like put a resistance on, do the same one every time, bike for 30 minutes. And again, that's our Y variable. And then we look at their data over time. We're like, okay, your calories are here. We don't really want to change them. Or we're not getting as much fat loss as we're wanting. We'd like it to go a little bit faster. Let's just increase the time. And so again, it's not that time is magical. It's just a way for us to measure it. And so what 10,000 steps does for us is just says, hey, if we put it on a scale of like 0 to 10 and 10 is 10,000 and 0 is 0 steps, you're just a rate of 10 active. Like it's just a unit of measurement. I don't know how to I'm trying to find a really good way to explain this, but there's nothing magical about steps. You could do time, you can do steps, you could do the amount of times you put your arms up and down. I don't know. Like it's just a way that we're measuring how much you're moving over the course of the day.
Yep.
Am I explaining that okay? Or
yeah, totally.
Okay.
It's just reflective of your general activity levels or sedentary behaviors.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a really easy way for us just to see how active you are. Is a lot of people wear a watch, and watches are actually relatively good at tracking how many steps that you're getting. And again, it's not even steps. Like I've had clients come to me and be like, well, when I move my arm up and down, it's tracking that as a step. Yeah, but you're moving. That's what I care about. I don't care about you physically getting a step in. I care about right now I'm explaining this and I'm like bopping around in my chair. That just burned calories right there. That's adding to my activity. So it's just tracking your body physically overall moving throughout the day. I really want people to understand that.
You know what we should have done is I should have put on my Apple Watch during this and put it like that I was doing an exercise. At the end of it,
see how many calories.
Do you want to pause and I'll go put it on right now?
Well, I'm also going to see how many steps it says that I'm getting at the end of this because I'm not walking. So I'm at 5,116. I need to write that down because I'm going to forget it. Go get yours and let's just do a workout. Let's see how many calories.
I'm going to go grab mine. What activity are you going to set it to?
Just do walk.
I might just do something because I want to be relatively accurate with what I'm doing, which is, nothing. So maybe I'll just do play. There's one just called play. I'm just going to call it play.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, I'm starting it right now. And we'll see how this goes. Okay.
So you did a starter workout. So I'm just going to see how many steps it tells me that I get extra because should I move my arms around a lot on purpose or should I just sit here? I guess
I'm
I'll
just
move
going to
around on
be like,
purpose.
I'm going to be like just doing it as I am, just talking
I'm
as I
just doing a
normally
little
do.
cheerleader stuff right now. But I also just want to see like this counts towards my overall step goal, like me talking with my hands
Yeah,
because I'm being active right now. That's what I care about.
for
So,
sure. So
um, yeah,
we've talked about why exercise is not that important for fat loss. Now let's switch sides and say why exercise is important for
yeah,
fat loss.
yeah. So, do you want me to start with that, or you want to start with that?
Sure. Yeah, I was
Go
setting
for it.
you
You
up,
were
but I can go.
oh,
I
okay.
can
Yeah,
go.
go for it. You were talking, so go for it.
Okay, so one of the biggest things is okay. One, first, this is a really really big one. Exercise is meant to create positive adaptations in your body. The goal of
Right.
exercise should never be weight loss. It can be a great byproduct of exercise,
Yes.
but the goal of exercise, whether we are talking about cardio exercise or we are talking about like weightlifting exercise, it is to create positive adaptations in the body. Now, let me say that there was another study that I covered a while back that I read through from Mass originally. Mass did a great coverage, monthly application in strength sport. They did a phenomenal cover on this study. It was very in depth, and it was. I'm just going to read through some of it. The researchers found that steps are or generally activity is more important than your weight for lowering all cause mortality. What they found was compared to people who walk 16,000 steps per day, which is a lot. I'll say that
Yeah.
that is a lot. That's a very, but when we're looking at studies, it's always like the most, extreme examples to try to
Right.
like get data and prove a point kind of. But compared to people who walk 16,000 steps per day, walking 2,700 steps per day had a 200% higher all cause mortality risk.
Wow.
In comparison, a BMI of 30 only had a 4% greater risk. Smoking increases your all cause mortality risk by
Wait.
70 to 80%.
I want to pause right there. I want you to like you just dropped a big bomb there. And I don't know if everyone
Yeah.
realized it. You just said that if you walk 16,000 steps a day versus 2,700 steps a day, that you are
Yes.
risking your chance for ish. Does it say cause mortality
All
causes?
all co- all cause mortality risk.
By
So cancer, heart
200%.
disease. Yes.
Inactivity increases your risk from that drastic by 200%. However, being 30% body fat, like a higher body fat percentage, only increased
Not
it
not
by,
body fat. This is BMI. This is
I'm sorry,
BMI.
BMI, BMI. Thank you for correcting me.
Yep.
Only increased it by, was it 4?
4%.
4%. So being inactive is drastically worse for your, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, worse for your health than maybe
Yes.
being higher in body fat than
A
what you
little
want to
overweight.
be. Yeah, a little overweight.
Yes.
Exactly.
So a BMI of 40 had about a 74% greater risk of all cause mortality, whereas smoking increases all cause mortality risk by about 70 to 80%. So similar numbers there.
Yeah.
And the sedentary behavior, 2,700 steps versus 16,000, has a 200% increase
Yeah.
greater mortality, all cause
Yeah.
mortality risk.
Yeah.
It is worse. Being sedentary is worse than having a BMI of over 40 or smoking.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Get
Now,
up and
this is,
move, guys. You
and we're
just
not,
gotta move.
please just know, like, if you are a smoker and you're listening to this or whatever, we're not telling you to keep
Oh,
smoking because,
sorry.
like, oh,
Yeah.
you've resist. I don't think you are. I'm just
Right.
making sure we clarify this. We're not saying like
Yeah.
smoking isn't smoking is horrendous for you. We know that. You know what I mean? But like, we're just trying to drive home how much being active on a daily basis actually has an effect on your health and will help you over the long haul. And so,
Yeah.
while we keep telling you like don't focus on exercising for fat loss, you should be focusing on exercise for your overall
Exercise
health
for
and
health.
yes, for your
Yes.
overall health and
Yes.
longevity of your life.
And I also want to point out that like so often in the long run, maybe not in a week or a day or a month or anything like that, but in the long run, if you increase your activity level is generally reflected in your body composition. If
Yeah.
you increase the amount of activity you get every day, you're probably going to bring your body fat down just because your calorie expenditure is a little bit greater.
Right.
And, the calorie balance might bring you back down into a calorie deficit, at least until you get to that point where, body weight and calorie expenditure is kind of at this, equilibrium.
Yeah.
because it
I
will
think this
happen
is
eventually.
I think this is also a good point to bring up is if you're someone who's been struggling to lose weight for a really, really long time and you feel overwhelmed by either tracking calories or adding protein or all this, you will already improve your health by just focusing on being active every single day. So if you
Yeah.
really feel
Yeah.
overwhelmed in the space and you're just like, I want to lose weight. And like that's a part of it to maybe increase helping with your health, right? Is potentially losing weight depending where you're at in your journey. But just start somewhere. Like go for a daily walk or get up every hour and go for a 5-minute walk or something. Just increase your daily output of energy. And once you're able to do that, you'll probably feel better, you'll sleep better. You will most likely, again, depending where you're at, see some weight loss results from it. Again, there's some things maybe not, like I talked about at the beginning, but just do that. Just do that. And then you can worry about everything else. Once you feel like you have that ball rolling, you feel motivated, you get successful, you have a really big win in your pocket, and then add things on from there. So yeah,
You know what
definitely be
I would
focusing
do?
on.
You know what
Go
I would
ahead.
do if I was like first starting out and I was overweight? There are two things that I would start doing if I did not want to track calories, if I didn't want to dial in my diet. Let's throw that to the wayside. Because
Yeah,
that would be my number one thing is trying to figure
right.
out my calorie balance and trying to get into a deficit. But let's say I don't want to do that at all. There are two things I would do. One, I would go for a daily walk. And I would probably get a Fitbit, something for like $20. I have an Apple Watch, but honestly, I just use it for steps for the most part.
Yeah.
So a Fitbit would work just fine. And those are cheap. You don't have to do that. You could just go
And
for a daily walk, maybe 2 daily
yeah.
walks. And then the second thing I would do is I would sign up for the Brianna Ray Fitness Group Training Program. They have a 7-day free
Thank you.
trial. And I'd be.
And technically it'll be closed by the time this podcast gets released because I do enrollments every 6 weeks. So
I would sign up for
technically,
the Alex Teamy
yeah,
or
there you
the
go.
A Team training program.
Yes,
Yeah, the
there you
A Team
go. Sign
training
up for 18.
program.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I just want to point
Sorry.
out if you are, no, it's okay. If you are trying to, like, if you're like, oh, I don't want to get a Fitbit or, it's $100 or I don't remember how much they are, whatever. Go on a Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace. People are selling their used ones all the
Oh,
time
so
for like
true.
$30,
Yeah.
$20. So grab one off of there too is a really good option. The other option is you can technically
So
use
true.
your phone. The only downside to using your phone is you don't always have it on you. And so it may say you're only getting 2,000 steps, but you're actually getting 6,000. But that's because when you get to go to the bathroom or you go make yourself a sandwich or when you grab something from the copier or whatever, you just don't have your phone on you. And so
Honestly,
that,
mine is always glued to me. I have like a phone addiction because my work is through my phone.
Yeah.
So it's like it's actually for me personally. It's
For
pretty
you
accurate.
personally, yeah. But then there's
Yeah,
some
for
people who
me
are just
personally.
sitting at a desk, and so their phone is sitting
And
there
they
on
leave
their
their
desk, and
phone
they
there,
leave,
and then
and
they walk
again, the
around.
copier,
Yeah.
or bathroom, whatever that may be, all that kind of stuff too. So
Yeah,
just
agreed.
that's also a way to do it too and start. Or a time goal. You can
Now you
again just be
posted
like 30
you
minutes a day.
posted yeah, it could be a time goal. That's a great
Yeah.
point. Now today you posted, I think it was today that you said a reel that was if you want to
yeah.
lose weight, do this, but if you want to lose body fat, do this. And so
Yeah.
I think I want you to lead this conversation now about the
Yeah.
difference between losing weight versus losing body fat and how we can change that in our body composition.
Yeah. So my reel was basically talking about how like there's weight loss and there's fat loss. And weight loss is where you just focus on like just the number going down. You don't care if that's from water, from muscle, from body fat. You just want to lose the weight. And so there's weight loss, but then there's fat loss where you're like, hey, I want to maintain/build muscle and just make sure when I'm losing body fat that it's coming, or when I'm losing weight, it's coming from body fat. And this is also where exercise can be really, really helpful for fat loss is strength training. This is where that plays in. So like Alex has said, and we've been talking about, your focus for your exercise shouldn't be on your modality of how you're going to lose body fat. However, and it still shouldn't as I'm walking into this. However, it's an accessory to helping to make sure that you're losing body fat. So when we strength train, or when we strength train, the purpose behind it is to tell our bodies, hey, we need to adapt. And in order to adapt to be successful in this, so we don't die, you need to build more muscle. And so your body responds to that while you're in the deficit of weight training. And so I guess that's all I have to say on that. The reason why weight training is so helpful is because you're telling your body, hey, I need this. I'm eating a calorie deficit. And so your body's like, cool, I need to pull from extra energy sources because I'm not getting it through food. And you're saying, that's
Which
cool.
are
You
fat
can do that.
and muscle.
Right. Which are fat and muscle.
Yep.
And you're like, that's cool, body. You can do that. But I use this thing called muscle 4 times a week. And if I don't have it, the barbell will crush under me. That's how your body's seeing. I'm not saying like you're saying that to your body, but your body is in a very like fight or flight mode. It just knows that you keep lifting something really, really heavy 4 times a week, and you need to be able to
Yep.
do that.
Putting a
And so
stimulus, you're putting a stimulus on
stimulus.
the muscle, and then it
Exactly.
needs to adapt to that so that it's
Yep.
more prepared next
And so
time.
your
Yep.
body's like, okay, cool. We won't take from the muscle. We'll just take from the fat for our energy source. And so this is why exercise can be really helpful for fat loss, is because you're telling your body, hey, or through specifically strength training, you're telling your body, hey, let's keep the muscle so that way we can lose body fat. So that's going to be another way that training or exercise is important for your fat loss goals, to make sure you're only losing fat when you have a weight. So you're only losing fat when you have a weight loss goal, hence fat loss.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's important to note that we can look at the size of our calorie deficit on a spectrum. And on one end is, let's say it's like a 1,000 calorie deficit per day. It could be more, it could be less, but let's just say arbitrarily 1,000 calorie deficit, all the way up to calorie maintenance, or, which is a 0 calorie deficit, just calorie maintenance. We will gain muscle faster at calorie maintenance and in a small surplus than we will in a 1,000 calorie deficit, and it's not even close. And as
Yeah.
we move from that calorie maintenance and we move farther and farther and farther and farther into a deficit, our body is not going to be able to pull potentially just from body fat. It will have to pull from muscle in order to support our body and give it the energy it needs, because we expend energy every single day. So, my recommendation for a lot of people who do want to improve their body composition is, there's a few ways we could talk about this. I'll just start by saying that a faster calorie deficit or a more aggressive approach is not always going to be better for improving your body composition over the long run. But with that said, even if we do lose muscle tissue, it comes back very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily be concerned about it. And I would always urge people to stick with a calorie deficit that feels sustainable for them for at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. If you want to take a 1 to 2
Yeah.
week, maintenance break, diet break, whatever you want to call it, that's totally fine. It can really help psychologically. But there is kind of this balance that you want to find where you feel happy with the results that you're getting week to week and month to month, but you also don't feel like, wow, I'm so hungry and so lethargic that I cannot maintain this for more than like a week. Because
Right.
if we're hitting that point, it's not going to be better for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it is expectation management that needs to be shifted, and less about, you know, so I made a post the other day that was like, if I don't if I can't drive, I didn't post it yet actually, but I wrote it and I said, if I can't drive 200 miles per hour, what's the point in driving? I'm not even going to drive. I'm just going to sell my car.
Ooh.
And it's like,
Yeah.
that is how so many people approach fat loss.
Yeah.
It's, they see you and I go faster.
Yeah.
Maybe we're losing a pound and a half per week. And
Right.
maybe that doesn't sound that fast, because we always say like, oh, not we, but just like the industry says,
Right.
1% body weight per week is a pretty good target. So if you weigh 150 pounds, that I should be able to lose 1.5 pounds per week.
I'll be honest.
It takes so
I think it's
much.
more my fitness pal. My fitness pal driving home that, do you want to lose 1 or 2 pounds per week? You know what I mean? But keep going. I just
Yeah,
think that's a big one because, anyways, go ahead.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I would feel, if I were you, listener, and you're losing maybe a half pound per week, and it's very tough to tell if you're losing a half pound per week unless you're zooming out appropriately, like over the course of 2, 3 weeks to look at
Yeah.
trends. It can definitely play tricks on you. Your weight spikes up, especially women. If you're on your cycle, you might be up 2, 3 pounds temporary water weight, and that's very difficult to see through too. So I urge you to not feel frustrated if you're only losing at a quarter or a half pound per week, because the upside to that is you're gaining muscle at a faster rate. And
Yeah. Very
sometimes
true.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
such a good thing. You are improving your body composition on both sides of this scale. You're losing body fat and gaining muscle, and you're able to do, yeah, body fat a little bit slower, but muscle a little bit faster. So it's not so much about like, oh, I'm not going fast enough. It's just you're shifting on that spectrum. And
Yeah.
that can be a really positive thing if you are approaching it from the right mindset.
Yeah. And remember too, you're still going in the direction that you want. Even if you're only losing a quarter or a half a
Yes.
pound per week, at least you're still going in the direction that you want. And so you can recognize that and take a step back, be like, okay, let me stop being so frustrated that I'm only losing half a pound per week. Let me recognize I'm still moving towards my goal, the end goal at the end of the day. Now, let me look at my life and think, okay, what sacrifices or trade-offs would I have to make this go faster? Are those worth it to me? And if the answer is no, then you need to have that honest conversation with yourself and be like, look, this is the rate at which I'm going to be losing weight. I need to accept that and be excited about that and understand I'm still going to my goals and I will get there. I'm going to get there. It's like you said with like driving a car. It's like if I'm trying to drive from Dallas to Austin, it's like, do I just say, well, I'm not going to drive to Austin if I can't go 200 miles per hour? It's like, no, I'm going to see the trade off of driving 200 miles per hour. I'm going to crash and die. So I'm going to go the speed limit and have a great old time, maybe stop at Buc-ee's for like some nuggets or whatever. And then I'll eventually get to Austin, but I'm going to do it my way. And I'm going to do it the way that's enjoyable for me, that's sustainable and will get me there alive.
You know what's
No, no,
crazy?
no.
I've never been in Bucky's. I hear everybody talking about Bucky's. I've never been there.
That's okay. It's kind of overrated, but it is.
Oh, is it really?
I mean, the first time you're like, whoa, this is insane. It's like a Walmart. It's like a gas station that's a
Like
Walmart
a gas station,
almost.
but yeah.
I mean, the thing is, they have like 27 toilets in like each bathroom, basically. So you don't have to wait for a bathroom. And then they have everything else. It's like almost like a grocery store, basically.
Wow.
But like you see it once and you're like, okay, like I've seen it because everyone talks about it, but it's nothing worth going
Is
out
it
of your
like a
way
place
for.
that
I don't think.
you don't go out of your way for it, but if there are like 5 gas stations on the highway, and
I'm
you're like,
picking the
oh, can we
cheapest
take
gas.
this exit? There's a Bucky's. Oh,
No,
you're
I'm
just
picking
picking
the
the
cheapest
cheapest
gas.
gas.
Yeah, because it's not that
Yeah.
big a game changer for me. Like whatever snacks I'm going to want to eat, I'm probably going to get a different gas station. I bet they're more expensive at Buc-ee's because it's a brand. You know what I mean? But I don't know
I
that for sure. It
understand.
could be cheaper.
Yeah,
I just
sure.
go for the cheapest
Sure.
gas. So,
Fair.
something else I wanted to chat on too is, okay, so if we talked about the beginning why, it's not important, and then we talked about why it is important, and it's like, okay, well then if we can't I don't know how maybe to phrase this, but it's like, okay, if we can't outrun a bad diet, why do we even give our clients a step goal or an activity goal in the first place? And I want to kind of dive into that because, well, there is a degree of like, the more active that we have our clients be, the higher the deficit they can be in when they're trying to lose body fat. And so if I had a client come to me and say, hey, I weigh this amount and I have zero activity all day, I sit on the couch, I maybe get 500 steps, I'm going to have to say, okay, well, because you don't exercise, you don't get up and walk around, we're going to have to essentially eat close to your BMR. And that might be 1,300 calories, 1,200 calories. So there is a degree of, again, it is a math equation at the end of the day. And so there is a level of activity that we want people to get in, one, because it helps to support that equation, right? Of to lose body fat and set the scales off. But also, if we can be more active, then you can enjoy 1,600, 1,800 calories, be in a deficit, and actually enjoy foods easier, if that makes sense. Does that hit home what I'm
the
trying to say?
micronutrient. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and we
micronutrients
don't want to
too. Yeah.
slash food,
Right.
to this minimal amount. Like if we're looking at food just from the energy perspective, okay, sure, whatever. But if there's more to food than just the energy it provides.
Very
There
true.
are the nutrients it provides, and this is very important. And so, if we have somebody who is eating at 2,000 calories, but they're super sedentary, and then we cut them to, I don't know, I'm just making up numbers, but like
Yeah.
let's say they're eating at 1,400 calories and then they drop them to like 1,000 because they're sedentary and they're not losing weight. It's like at 1,000 calories, are we able to meet all the nutritional minimums that your body needs to maintain optimal health? Maybe, but also maybe not. It kind of depends on the
Yeah.
quality of your diet and the foods that you're
Yeah.
choosing. And so my goal for people is always to eat as much as possible while losing body fat, not eat as little as
Yeah.
possible while losing body fat. It's eat as much as possible.
Yeah.
Well, one from just like a
yeah.
satiety standpoint, but also from the nutrient standpoint.
I have a couple clients right now that are like really lean. Like there are people that came to me, they're already lean, already jacked, and they want to get leaner. And we've been cutting their calories more and more. And we get to the point where I'm just like, I'm really not comfortable going lower because one, like you're already saying this is terrible as it is. And two, it's going to cut into the micronutrients of a lot of things. And then you're going to you already don't feel great because you're at low calories. Like if you think you don't feel great now, just wait till we get to even lower calories. Like you're really not going to feel great because now your body's not getting the essential vitamins and minerals and stuff that it needs. And yeah, that was a good point to bring out too. So, but that's
Speaking
why,
of
right.
nutrition,
Yeah.
Mac Nutrition University just started for me on Monday. I don't know if I told you,
How was
but
it? Yeah. Well, you told me you had the orientation and that's why we had to change
yeah.
our podcast filming. How'd it
Yep.
go?
I had the intro call and then I had to take a quiz, got 100%. What up?
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, it's going to be intense. It's a year, of studying that
Yeah.
in the UK gives you a level 5 diploma, which is like their version of like an associate's degree, essentially. So
Okay.
like a 2-year
Yeah.
college degree.
That's
And
cool.
so I'm just getting that this is the most intensive nutrition course that I personally know of
Yeah.
in outside of like a
Like registered dietitian
I would
university kind
say
of thing.
outside of a registered dietitian, or yeah, obviously not on the par of a PhD program,
Right.
obviously,
Right.
but the registered dietitian route, and I don't want to like talk down on this is not the goal of this, but it's
Right.
much more clinical based and kind of like textbooks based, which to the best of my knowledge, MNU is a little bit more coaching and person based,
Yeah. It's
and like real
different.
world application, just a little bit
Yeah.
different, less of like the specific of like biology and chemistry and kind of stuff, and like those,
Yeah.
which is important to know for RDs for sure, but
And
it's
we've
just a
also
little bit
you
different.
never been through an RD program, so we don't know
For
exactly the
sure, that is so
differences
true.
either.
Yes,
So
so
we
true.
really, it's honestly just not even fair to compare because I
It's
think
just
there are different
speculation.
this is obviously what you're going through is for specifically coaches like
Yeah.
going through the space. And so it's maybe
Yep.
not fair to compare, but it is probably the most intensive thing you can do probably as a fitness coach in general that's out there
Yeah.
outside of going to a formal university. Well, I guess it actually is. I think, like you said, in the UK, recognized like as formal education.
It
So I don't even
is.
think that's
Yeah,
fair to say.
it's accredited.
Yeah, it's
Now
accredited. There
it's
you go.
like, and I'll be able to bill insurance, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is
For
cool.
nutrition clients, so for like
Wow.
consultations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, so a lot of studying ahead of me, but anyways, really
Yeah.
excited for that.
I feel like that was kind of our sign that that's everything we have to talk about on
That
this
was it.
topic. Unless you
That
have
was
anything
it.
else that you
Yeah.
want to add in. So
No, I think I'm good with that. I think we covered a lot. I was able to burn 97 active
oh yeah.
calories and 136 total calories in
Let's
the
see what
last 23 minutes.
I went from
Which again, I just want
5,000.
to
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I went from 5,116 to 5,260. So like roughly 120
Okay, 44.
steps. 44.
Yeah,
I can't do
144.
math that fast. Yeah, 144 steps. So again, that 144 is going to my 10K goal that I have for myself. And like, that's not a bad thing. Like, I'm not going to subtract that off because the whole point of this tracker is just to track me moving as a human throughout the day. So
Let me do like the mental math right now. Let's assume that I'm awake 16 hours. Let's assume that
wait, how
this
much
is
did it
my
say you burned?
baseline.
How much did it say?
100 active calories and 140 total calories. So let's use the
Did
140
you stop
total
it?
calories.
Did you already stop it?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
But it's at 24 minutes. Let's just round up to 30 minutes just for this like example.
Okay.
So 140 calories per half hour, 280 per hour. If I'm burning this much, which is probably the least sedentary or the most sedentary I'll be for the most part all day outside of sleeping.
Yeah.
But if I multiply this by 16 hours of being awake, that means I will have burnt 4,480 calories per day. I can 100% guarantee I would not burn 4,480 calories per day.
Yeah.
I'm saying in 99.9% of my days,
Well,
I
and
would not burn that
but
many
we know
calories.
we know that for you because you put yourself in a surplus, and we know what your surplus calories
Yes.
are. You know what I mean? So
my calorie expenditure is usually about 2,800, 2,900. And when I'm really exercising a lot, bulking, I'm up to about 170 pounds. Right now, I'm 158. When I'm up to about 170 pounds, exercising 5 times a week, going on my daily walks, all that, I burn about 3,200 calories per day. So to say 4,480 calories, just no.
Yeah.
It's it's just not realistic.
And
So
that's
don't
not-
listen to the calorie burn.
yeah. Well, and the reason that Alex
That's not
knows-
including the
Sleep.
extra 8 hours from
Yeah,
sleeping.
it's not.
Which
Because-
we do expend energy while we're sleeping.
Yeah, and Alex knows that his maintenance is around 3,200 calories because he's been able to be like, okay, my goal is to go into a bulk. I need to gain weight. Okay, I'm eating this many calories. Nothing is going up. I need to increase. And so if he's actually burning, let's just say you're burning 4,000 calories in a day, you would need to be upwards of 4,000 calories just to gain weight.
Just to
So,
maintain. Yes.
well, I was going to say, well, what was your with the burn? I was going to say I'm trying to go over maintenance for you.
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
if, if
The
that's what you
burn
burned in
the
a
burn
day.
from this equation for
Was what?
16 hours is 4,500 basically.
Yeah, so let's just
4,500
round up and
calories.
say with 8 hours of sleep, like it's 47
5,000.
or whatever, 5,000.
Yeah.
Sure. You would have to be eating over 5,000 calories a day to be gaining weight. And that's just not, we know that's not true because you gain weight when
It's
you
not
go
even-
over 3,200 for when
Right.
you're at like
Yeah.
170. So it just shows how like inaccurate. Let's see what the percentage of that inaccuracy technically is. So if you are technically 30, you said 3,200?
Yeah.
So 45, well, so 3,200 is what percentage of 4,500?
About 33%,
70,
33% over.
yeah, 30. Yeah, it's roughly like 30 something percent, 35% if we rounding. And that's just 16 hours. Again, we're not factoring in the other 8 hours. So already right now it's 30+% off. And if we factored in the 8 hours, it's probably 40% off, maybe even 50.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Would it be tracking your sleep?
And I would be, and I'm just sitting here drinking my coffee, talking to you.
Yeah.
Imagine what these calories would say if I went and did like some biking or some walking or running or something like that. Like it would just skyrocket and be so ridiculous. So yeah, I hope that kind of
Drives
helps
something home.
cement the point of don't listen to the calories burned from your watch.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Okay, cool.
Great
I think that was a
way
good
to
wrap
end
it
an
up.
episode.
That was a great way to end
That was
it.
awesome.
Yep. That was great. All right. Well, if you guys enjoyed the episode, or if you didn't enjoy the episode, screenshot it, share it on your stories. It's a free way to support the show. If you have any takeaways or anything you really liked or any questions, feel free to shoot a DM to Alex and I, and we'll just catch you guys on the next episode.
Be sure to leave a 5-star review as well.
Yes, do that too. And then we'll see you on the next
All right.
episode.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care, guys.